Good morning, welcome to a morning review. This is Kim Watson speaking on Wednesday the 22nd of April. Okay, looking at the euro dollar first, and really in the sort of bigger picture, we're sort of sitting on this 4-hourly flag pattern really that's going on at the moment. We've retraced just beyond 50%, between 61.8 in that fib zone there. Put a nice reversal candle in yesterday, then started rallying up. The question obviously now is, can we break this upper trend line to confirm this move, in which case we will have put a higher low in and we could be pushing towards the prior highs, or are we just going to just sort of peter over and run through and continue to the downside, in which case the shorts will continue having a day. I mean, it's quite clearly shown on here in terms of direction. If one's broken, that's fair enough, we can go that way. Actually the hourly sums it up quite nicely. This may be a bit of a steeper angle, and I need to wait a little bit longer for probably the lows to be taken out. If these lows are taken out at 107.15, then I could well be looking at towards yesterday's lows in that position. As I say, otherwise this is the upper trend line. If that's broken, well, I'll be pushing toward looking for a break of this trend line quite simply earlier on. If that gets broken, then we'll be pushing up towards the 1.08 area again, somewhere in that region. There was quite a bit of selling even before that yesterday. It sort of sold into that little midi pit point there around about the 1.0779, so 1.078 really, in that sort of region. But there's obviously key figures around the whole numbers here. So look at 1.08 as a bit of a clue. If it pushes up that way, it might find a bit of resistance, but if it can push through, well, yeah, it could, as I say, it'll put a higher low in and off we go, maybe until towards the end of the week when people start getting the jitters about Greece again. Okay, no significant news out for Europe today that I can see. No, that's okay. And then let's have a look at the pound dollar. Okay, so what we have here is similar picture in terms of the flag pattern. Quite clear flag sort of sitting there, which could, as I say, again, breaking the upside there. It makes it easy for me to look for the other side. Towards yesterday's highs, or I say yesterday's highs, last week's highs. If we see likewise, if we see the breakdown, well, be looking for yesterday's lows, and then maybe the 4-hourly 50 as a sort of target. If we look at the dailies here, and you can see every time we run across this sort of key or anywhere near the 1.5 area, we're seeing selling pressure coming in. So it is quite a battle up there, but it's hit there so many times around that level. In fact, well, exclude the a spiky day where the news came out there, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, or 10 or 11 attempts at trying to break 49.62, so effectively around that region. So if it can get up there this time, well, again, look for towards the 50 last week's highs, and if it can break that, well, then we could be I mean, the prior highs there, that spike high, maybe the 100 MA, maybe a sort of a signal in terms of coming out. In fact, well, let's just have a quick look, but really need to come back and look at the dailies. You see why this area sits here. It's a previous support area where we are now, consolidation. In fact, that consolidation zone, if we were to draw that on there, effectively around the area there and towards the lows of that zone, anywhere around there towards the highs, we may get more resistance coming in towards the highs of that as well. So it may well worth be watching if it does start rallying to the upside. Of course, one thing to bear in mind today, we do have the minutes of the Bank of England MPC meeting, which if there was any hawks coming back into play, I could see the pound really having a bit of a rally. It may only be relatively temporary, but it may create quite a bit of a rally and pushes up. If it starts breaking last week's highs, well then it's, as I say, it could push on some more and possibly even further. It's sort of really starting to set swing long positions up at that point. Short term then, actually I can probably redraw this trend line. This trend line here, I mean, really needs to be looking at when this 7 o'clock candle's finished there. But again, a bit like euro, if I'm looking at the short side here, I'd probably just sit there and wait for the break of the lows here, as opposed to a break of the trend line anyway, and be looking for the short side there, looking back towards yesterday's lows. Break of the upper side, as I say, well then obviously first point is just around about yesterday's highs, and then last week's highs, as if we was to push on. Right, that makes life easy there. Let's look at the dollar yen. Similar picture here in the terms of its flag pattern, but let's get on and look at the dailies there. There's a pivot swing that's triggered there if it was to break the upside here. But I mean, it is again, it's in the inverted flag, bear flag effectively sitting here, and it's whether or not it can break down that way. That's fine. It will continue down towards those lows there. Any weakness could see us running up to really last. I mean, now it's such a mess here. And get back up to yesterday's highs, and then maybe if it can push beyond that. Maybe back to the 120 area and beyond. So looking at the 60-minute chart there, and I've literally drawn on a couple of trend lines there, which will really be the lines in the sand for me. Now, with the support of the 50 coming up first test, there may be some sort of bounce off that level before, if it is going to break down. But the trend is, well, at the moment the trend is effectively up, so it could bounce off that 50. If it does run through, it will run through towards that S1 area, and there's previous levels of support resistance around prior resistance, prior support around that area. So there's quite a bit of chop around that period. So we may find support around there. Okay, and finally let's look at the Aussie dollar. Aussie dollar got a boost through the Asian session with the inflation figures coming out higher than expected. So what we've done now, or what we're doing in a zone, or looking, it's sort of come off its lower bands here, almost it air kissed the lower bands yesterday, rallied a bit, but not as much as the other currencies, then pushed on up this morning on that news. And again, well, not such a nice flag. I like flags that come out, whoops, let's get rid of that one, well no, let's leave that, come out more at sort of a 45-degree angle. This came out quite steep, but all the same, it has done a bit of a reversal. We've had a higher low. It's been into, it's sort of a bit like the euro. It's just broken through its 50 a little bit, running into this sort of fib zone where you can often see reversals. And what I say, as I said, it's got this put a low in here, then this high, a little higher, then put another low in, and it's run up high. It's broken this previous high, so it's put that higher low in. So there is potential for it to continue up there. I'm a bit uneasy on the euro, the Aussie dollar at the moment, but if it does start pushing up here, I had a decent run through the Asian session there. If it can hold on to those gains and start pushing up, well, again, we're looking towards Monday's highs or even last week's highs there. It's got a long way to come down. I think it will probably be a trickle down. It's not one really to, by the time it's got towards yesterday's lows, it's already done a decent bit of movement, so it's probably not such a easy one to be on the short side unless you look at something a bit closer, but lots of support on its way there as well. So I'd rather be on the longer side effectively, potentially, but whether it's got much legs, the legs are there compared to the other currencies, is questionable, bearing in mind it's already had a decent move today. Right, okay, that's pretty much it for me. As I say, really today we've already had the Australian CPI figure out at 2:30, gave us the kicker there. We've got the Bank of England minutes at 9:30 this morning. That may give us a kicker. If not, if it doesn't have, there's no change. I think we'll probably see something quite flattish, although by the time the analysts have picked over the minutes. There may be some volatility kicking around there, certainly. Have a great one. Bye for now.